Hey everybody, and welcome back to another Max Velocity weather forecast. And in today's forecast, we'll be breaking down a very active weather pattern that is ahead this week that'll bring severe weather and also a huge cool down to much of the United States. Some areas could even get close to the 40s and 30s. I'll be giving you the latest breakdown on everything that you need to know in this forecast, but let's first begin with what's happening across the United States today. And we'll first begin with the Northeast United States, and this is where something pretty crazy is happening. We have a very strong low pressure system centered just north of the Great Lakes. This is where that circulation is right there. That's where our low pressure system is sitting. Now, this isn't really bringing a whole lot of rain anymore. It actually brought a little bit of snow, by the way, to parts of southern Canada, but it's overall not bringing much. It is still bringing some rainfall, a little bit of higher winds as well, but it's a pretty impressive low pressure system on the infrared imagery. Really cool circulation there. This is going to kind of sit there for the next couple of days, keeping cloud cover remnant, and eventually it'll move off to the east. So overall, it's an interesting system. This is also opening the door for an increased area of warmer weather across much of the Great Plains. You'll notice there's a huge area here without much of any cloud cover, big dry slot essentially. And also we have a little bit of passing clouds back down in Florida. That's all kind of associated with that low pressure system. That sitting there is kind of keeping everything very stationary right now. Back over on the west coast, cloud cover is starting to increase over here, and what we'll be watching for is a newly developing trough that'll actually eject over the Rocky Mountains later this week, and that'll overall increase the severe weather potential across much of the Great Plains, perhaps even in the Midwest, as we head closer to Thursday and Friday, and we'll have a full breakdown for you on that here in just a moment. And one more cool thing I wanted to show you on the satellite imagery, look back up into Canada. We have a very impressive view of this low pressure system spinning back up in Canada. It almost looks like a hurricane that's over the ocean, but obviously this is over land. It's just a strong trough. Really cool stuff there. And notice there's really not any cloud cover across the Great Plains. Very dry air dominating for many areas. In addition to that, we are seeing warmer temperatures as well. Now let's dissect the weather pattern that'll be happening across the United States for the upcoming week, and we'll go to the jet stream to look at that. That's what really shows us the weather patterns that are happening across the United States. And we'll first begin with what's happening right now. So again, we have a low pressure system back up in parts of Canada, bit of a dry slot here. This is where our technical high pressure system is in the upper levels. So that's currently sitting over parts of the Rocky Mountains, and then our other trough is back just to the west there of the California coastline. As we go into Tuesday into Wednesday, notice how the pattern starts to change. So notice how strong the jet stream is across much of the United States. Trough is still sitting north of New England, and then our next trough that we have to watch for severe weather and that huge cool down will be located over the Rocky Mountains as we get closer to Wednesday into Thursday. Once this ejects over the Rocky Mountains as we go into Thursday, this could increase and ramp up the severe weather potential as we go into Thursday into Friday. Notice this is your low pressure system right here, negatively tilted, so that'll increase the shear, and as well as that low level jet, increasing potentially the tornado risk as well. So that'll definitely be something to watch out for. Strong southwesterly flow on the eastern side of that trough, definitely gonna have to be something to watch for with that severe weather threat. Once we go into the weekend, so by Saturday into Sunday, this trough moves over parts of the Midwest, and this will eventually start to move over those areas, bring some showers, maybe even still some storms. There might be a little bit of severe weather left over across the Ohio Valley. I'll show you more specific details on that here in a second. And eventually, as we go into Sunday into Monday of next week, things become a bit more uncertain, but one thing that might be a bit more certain here is that that trough that will be located over the southeast United States could bring a very strong northerly wind, leading to a pretty rapid cool down for many of those areas. So we'll have to watch that very closely as well, because overall that will give some areas temperatures in the 40s and 50s for lows, even in parts of Florida. So something to look at there. And one thing that we'll have to watch for very closely over the next several days with this severe weather threat is the low level jet. That's what helps to rotate supercells at the lower levels and therefore producing sometimes tornadoes. What we're looking at on Thursday is actually kind of concerning, because look at the right side of this trough. This is where we'd be watching for that tornado risk on Thursday, really in the evening hours more than anything. We have a fairly strong southerly and almost a southwesterly flow that we have to watch for closely with a low level jet around 40 to 45 knots. So this will definitely be something to watch for with how intense this low pressure system will get. Once we go into Saturday, it becomes much weaker. So overall, if there is any severe weather on either late Friday or Saturday, it looks to be a lower threat across parts of the Midwest and the Ohio Valley. Overall, not too concerning right now. Watch this as we go into Sunday, though. This low pressure system will move into the southeast United States. This will create, again, that strong northerly wind, and that'll really stay there for multiple days. We're actually going to see some chilly weather in some of those areas over the long term. Here's that risk of severe weather going into tossing trampolines on tall trees Thursday. This is a day 4 outlook, so we're not going to have any marginal threat of severe weather here. It's a fairly small slight risk right now across northern Kansas and southeast Nebraska, even a little sliver there of Missouri and Iowa. This will probably expand a bit in terms of the slight risk. Going into Friday, I would expect that risk to move more over here. Will there be a slight risk that day, or will it be marginal, or will there be a risk at all? It's all kind of to be determined. We got to see what this trough exactly does as it goes over the Rocky Mountains. At this current time, it doesn't seem as if we'll have a severe weather outbreak, but if there were to be one, it would be more likely there on Thursday with all those ingredients coming together. One thing I want to point out is the hazards across the United States to watch for in between day 3 and day 7. So this is from the 12th until the 16th of October. A few things to point out. Frost and freeze is all possible across parts of the Rocky Mountains back through West Kansas and as well as the Panhandle of Texas on the 13th and 14th. And also we're going to be watching for heavy rainfall across parts of the Midwest and as well as the northern plains. Reason why is because once that trough moves over parts of the central plains, we're going to see a lot of rainfall in the northern and even parts of the northeast side of that trough. That'll lead to some heavy rainfall there. And then again, our severe weather risk for now on the 12th, which again is on Thursday, would be across parts of Nebraska and as well as Kansas. That is subject to change. Also a high wind area to watch for from the 12th to 13th. That is again because this trough will be so strong, we're going to have very close contours, meaning that there will be an increased risk of higher wind speeds. So definitely make sure you're watching out for that. That also means, by the way, there could be some flying trampolines. Now let's show you the future radar for the next several days. This is on Wednesday. Notice the trough over parts of the Rocky Mountains, just east of actually the Rocky Mountains near Colorado. This is the storm activity we'll be watching for going into late Wednesday. Overall severe weather is looking to be on the very low end of things. Once we go on to Thursday, that's when things do become a bit more concerning across parts of Kansas and Nebraska. If we get more of a linear line of storms, I do think that the potential for tornadoes will be a bit lower, and that'll increase the damaging wind risk. So that'll be something to kind of watch out for and see how it balances all out. Overall, it doesn't seem as if there'll be a whole lot of severe weather in Oklahoma or Texas, though there might be some. It'll be a pretty low-end risk overall. Going to Friday, that trough moves off to the east, bringing some showers, maybe some storms across parts of the Ohio Valley and lower Midwest. That's where we might see some damaging winds. I don't really think there'll be much of a tornado risk. That low pressure system moves toward the east coast as we go into Sunday, and that'll allow again for a fairly strong northerly wind to push a lot of cooler air into parts of the southeast United States. So some good news there. Again, if you're looking forward to cooler weather, the Climate Prediction Center from Sunday of this upcoming weekend until Thursday of next week looks to actually be very interesting. We're looking at well below average temperatures being a possibility across parts of the southeast United States. This is more though pointing out the likelihood of below average temperatures. So right here, it is very likely in parts of Florida as well as Georgia and Alabama that we will be seeing below average temperatures in those areas. The west coast of the United States, unfortunately for you all, it will be definitely a bit warmer over that direction. Here are the temperature anomalies. Again, this going into this weekend, that is the trough across parts of the central plains. As we go into next week, that big cool down will move into the southeast United States. Many areas likely to be well below average in terms of their temperatures. So definitely something to watch out for, and that'll likely linger all the way into potentially the following weekend. So it looks to be a bit more of a long-term change for those areas. Here are those temperatures. So notice as we go into Friday of this week, again, temperatures in the 70s to 80s. Look at that cool down start to really usher in though as we go into Tuesday morning. We could actually see some areas drop into the 30s, 40s, 50s across parts of Florida. Even it's there again going to get pretty cold in this area. So something to watch out for. By no means will there be any freezes or anything like that quite yet. But one thing you want to keep in mind is that you might need a winter jacket even if you're in the southeast. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to hit the like button down below and subscribe if you've not already.